Hello there, music lovers and fan of the audio. I'm Josh from Audiophile-Heaven, and today we are having a look at Focal Elear. This is an European headphone made by Focal. It is a headphone that is pretty hard to get your hands on, at least these days, because they are closing the end of their life cycle, because Focal has released more new models which pretty much fit in the other price ranges, both in the more expensive ones, and they also have more affordable headphones. This is the Elear. It costs about $1,000 or 1,000 euros. The difference is that in Europe you have to pay VAT or VAT or value added tax, which kind of increases the price a bit. So the $1,000 or 1,000 euros, it is going to be the same depending on where you live. The Focal Elear is an open back headphone, really open back. This entire thing is a grill, so it is not a headphone intended for being used outdoors. It is a pretty beautiful headphone, if I can say so myself. It looks good. I love the ergonomics and the design. The ergonomics are great. They really fit nicely on my head. They are very comfortable. This is the same level of comfort that you got from Sennheiser's HD800 or Hi-Fi-Man Anand or Hi-Fi-Man Aria or such. They are very comfortable, I'll tell you that. They don't have a lot of pressure. The earpads are huge and they don't really isolate from the outside noise. I can hear myself pretty clearly. They have 3 to 5 decibels of passive noise isolation. The headphone has a very interesting dynamic driver inside, and I love seeing some dynamic drivers too, because I have reviewed a lot of headphones with planar magnetic, and dynamics are also interesting. They have one of the worst cables in the history of headphones, and I have to show you that. So to show you how bad the cable is, I will do this. I will place the cable inside the headphone. This is the right cap and this is the air. It goes inside. This is the left ear cap and this is the left part of the cable. I will place them on my head and I will start counting the cable, and you can see why it is. Man, this is a long cable. This is how the cable looks like in person. I mean, why? Why is it so long? My guitar had a smaller cable, my guitar, and I used it to play music, and it didn't have this long of a cable. It is huge. It is very thick. It is not very ergonomic. It actually conducts some microphonic noise, which once again pretty bad. Oh man, the cable is a deal breaker. If you won't invest in an aftermarket cable, you probably won't invest in many Focal headphones. But as I understand, the newer models have better cables. This is all I got, the headphone and the cable. And I'm not happy about the cable, but I'm pretty happy about the headphone. I can use other cables from other headphones because it has a pretty typical 3.5mm jack at the headphone level, which makes it compatible with Meze cables, with Hi-Fi-Man cables. It will be pretty easy to find the spare cable for them. You won't have much of an issue if you invest a few dollars in an aftermarket cable. Even Meze makes silver cables for headphones, and they will work with the Focal Elear and other Focal models which also use the 3.5mm jack. Now that I'm done with the instructions, I'll remove the cable because it is pretty hard for me to deal with the cable. The headphones creak a lot when maneuvering them, and as far as I understand, even the expensive models creak. They creak. I will try to. You have to deal with this sound every single time you maneuver them. They won't break. They are pretty resilient. They have survived a lot of tests for me, and they survive well, but yeah, you have to live with that if you go for Focal headphones. Which is something that, I don't know, when you price a headphone at $1,000, you maybe could use a different plastic that doesn't creak. This hinge here is made of metal, but the headband is made of plastic. I can understand the need to use plastic, and I am not going to critique the use of plastic in the headband. The point is to reduce the weight of them so that they are lighter. If they are lighter, they are going to be more comfortable, and I appreciate their initiative to use plastic if they are going to have a lighter and more comfortable headphone. But at the same time, I am going to critique the fact that it ended up creaking so badly. They could have used some rubber between the metal and the plastic to reduce the creaking. There could have been a few options. The fact that there is none included in the headphone, I don't know. I am not quite that happy with the creaking. But once I put them on my head, I forget about all those issues. I enjoy them. The most enjoyable part about the focal Elear is the sound. That much is clear, because everything else isn't quite as enjoyable, because the build quality is good. The comfort is also good. I am enjoying the comfort. The headphones do not turn a lot in this direction, so you may not get a very good comfort if your head is in an odd shape, but they swivel a bit like this. There is a stopping mechanism which makes them spring right back into place. They can be adjusted in terms of size, and you can adjust them quite a bit, so they should fit with your head regardless of your head size. Those are a headphone that works for small heads. At the minimum size, they barely, I mean, my ears are clearly going out of the headphones, and I have to increase the size quite a bit for them to fit. Now they fit nicely. I love the fit. The fit is very comfortable. I enjoy them quite a lot while wearing them, if I don't have to see them or move a lot. They are really good sounding headphones. They sound amazing. They sound impressive. They are not very hard to drive either. They are medium to drive compared to other large headphones. Those are not portables, are not meant for outdoor usage, and I wouldn't take them outside, not with that cable at least. If you would take them outside, you would drag that cable after you, and that would be pretty terrible, I'll tell you that. But in terms of headphones, they have excellent overall quality sonically. They are beautiful. They're like a little baby Hi-Fi Ananda, and they actually are a bit more revealing than Hi-Fi Ananda. They have a bit more treble, and even compared to the Ananda Bluetooth, because the Ananda and the Ananda Bluetooth are similar, those are more like an Ananda Bluetooth. They have a better weight to music. They have good substance to music. They have pretty excellent clarity, detail. They have a wide soundstage, but they are slightly warm in terms of tuning, which means that they will sound pretty romantic with most music. They will work well with both metal and classical. They will work well with jazz, and pretty much everything you play to them is enjoyable. That is a word that I will use a lot with focal Elear. They are very enjoyable. The name doesn't suggest it, and the shape doesn't really suggest it either, but they are a very enjoyable pair of headphones, and man, I enjoyed them. I really enjoyed the focal Elear, and yeah, as long as they sound good, a lot of people are going to be willing to sacrifice a few aspects of them to enjoy the sound. Since they are made for usage indoors, I am critiquing them for things that maybe are not as relevant, because if you are sitting indoors, you can tuck that cable away, and in terms of driving power, they will require averagely powered sources. For example, they will work well with Earman Trump. Earman Trump can drive them pretty well. Eufy XDSD can drive them pretty well as well. And I discovered a very nice pairing between the focal Elear and the Eufy IDSD Black Label. Although I probably would suggest looking into something a bit more recent in terms of release date. And the Audio GD Master 19 was a very good driver for the focal Elear. It had a lot of soul, a lot of force, but also excellent clarity, a very wide soundstage, and overall the sound was just right. Everything was clear, everything had great detail, everything was very well presented. The sound also had a lot of musicality. The Audio GD Master 19 is very underrated for the quality it has. You should really watch my videos and read my review about it if you need a $1,000 or such amplifier for headphones or a preamp. They work fairly well with tube-based amplifiers, but it will really depend on the tube amplifier you are using, on how good the focal Elear will sound. For example, I had pretty good results with the Felix Echo, which is $500, but I prefer them with Felix Euphoria, which is a $2,000 amplifier based on Otili technology. I found them to be okay with the Hagerman Tuba amplifier. That one was okay. It was not so hot, not so cold either. It was okay. I am so and so about that pairing. The original cable doesn't really do justice to this pairing, but they can be driven from the FIO M11 Pro. This is the Pro version of the M11, the THX based DAP, and this is way better than I was expecting. It doesn't really have anything to do with the original M11. It is like a very different DAP in terms of sound, much more dynamic, much more impressive, and it can even drive the focal Elear. Although those are some pretty okay desktop headphones, it can it can control them really nicely. And if you need a portable that can drive them, the focal Elear will sound very good out of an FIO M11 Pro. The only thing you should take into account if you go for it is that you will need aftermarket cables, and I would suggest using the 4.4mm output on the M11 Pro. That way you are taking the most advantage you can out of a headphone like the focal Elear. Comparing the focal Elear to something like the HPA LSA1, this is basically the Kenner Tonodin but more comfortable. I've noticed a few key differences. First is that this one doesn't creak, it has no sound while being... You can see it has no creaking, while the focal Elear. So you can see that the two are a bit different in terms of the sounds they make. The comfort is actually similar, although I do prefer the comfort of the HPA one compared to the focal Elear. This one is more comfortable. It actually offers less passive noise isolation. The focal Elear has a few decibels, while those have almost zero. They are almost entirely transparent, but I prefer their comfort. The headband is more comfortable and the earpads are a bit larger. And although they are as soft as the pads of the focal Elear, I prefer the touch of the leather on the HPA LS1. Those one are provided by Underwood Hi-Fi. They are a great shop, you should check them out. While the focal Elear is my pair and they actually came without the case. I was not quite that happy about this. This is a personal pair too, so you should keep that in mind. Another comparison I can draw for the focal Elear is with the HiFiMan HA6 SA. This is a headphone I really love, and if you've been reading Audiophile-Heaven at all, you would know that I really love the HiFiMan HA6 SA, and I'm actually looking forward to their new models, to the Susvara, to the 1000 series. I found that the HA6 SA is a pretty heavy headphone, and it is a bit heavier than the focal Elear. It also has a more rigid mechanism for adjusting, but once they are adjusted they have better comfort because the earpads are actually even softer. They are thicker, the width of the earpad is thicker, so here the earpad, although is soft, this part is pretty thin and you have a hotspot around your ear, while with the HA6 SA the earpad itself is way thicker, the contact area is larger, so the weight is distributed more evenly on your head. Although they are heavier, they feel better on your head and they have better feeling. The HA6 SA doesn't really creak, they click, but that is all. There is no creaking sound, while those ones creak like a horror house story from Scooby-Doo. That is something to take into account when getting a headphone, if you can put up with that or not. The cables are basically the same idea of cable, pretty longer cable with a 3.5mm jack that goes inside the headphone, but I prefer the overall comfort of the HiFiMan HA6 SA. The cable is better even by default, and it has an XLR output which has an XLR to 6.3mm adapter, so basically you can use them with balanced amplifiers as well, which is a pretty good thing for the HiFiMan HA6 SA. The sound is way more analytical on the HiFiMan HA6 SA. The focal Elear is considerably warmer. The HiFiMan HA6 SA has better detail, better clarity, they have more impact, but they have a smaller soundstage and they are more intimate. The focal Elear has a way larger soundstage, they have more instrument separation because the soundstage is larger, but they are way warmer, they have less detail, where the HA6 SA has more detail. The focal Elear is more romantic, while the HA6 SA is more analytical and better if you are someone who really wants to hear every single bit of detail from your music. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you will consider pressing like to this video if you enjoyed this video. I hope you will subscribe to my YouTube channel to be the first to receive the news about audio products and such. I hope you have a lovely week in there, and don't forget to also check the website for written reviews. Bye bye!